Okay, perfect, Rachel. I actually liked your paper a lot, and I'm hoping that I can help you to lengthen your paper, as well as give you a few suggestions that may be useful to you. You do not have to use these suggestions at all. They are simply suggestions, but I will let you know that these suggestions are based on principles that I have learned with regards to writing. So they're not just thrown out there as opinions. A lot of these are principles of writing. So I do want to mention this first comment just to explain a little bit about what I mean. I love that you mentioned Sartre's philosophies on existentialism. I love the lead into the teaching of what existentialism is. This is a great intro. To add to the intro, thus adding more material, the audience must understand the importance and relevance in today's culture. So be sure to obtain some type of data or example that happens today that would explain why this subject is of such great importance to them. So you mentioned in Sartre's philosophy of existentialism, but why is existentialism so important, or why are his ideas so important in today's society? You can even find examples in today's society, or even data that helps to suggest or support some of the same ideas that you're going to be talking about, or even mentioning some of the events that are happening in today's society, such as, the rise of ISIS, or other such issues with radicalism and racial uh, racism, and these are certain issues that you can talk about this idea that this has been important and it will continue to be important. So this first paragraph should include this intro that I've talked about, and the intro should include main ideas discussed, such as Sartre's no exit and existentialism, which you did perfectly, explaining existentialism, what it means, and the particular part of existentialism that you will be talking about is essential as well. So that's one part that you did leave out is what is existentialism, and what specific part are you going to be talking about? Um, also talk about the importance in today's society. Within this first paragraph, it is also important to note the thesis statement, which I believe that you mentioned in the second paragraph, which is the thesis statement that you mentioned. Um, you go through all of the arguing points that you make, and so that's something that you should mention right there. Is maybe even combining those first two paragraphs. It will make a very long paragraph, but that's okay for this first one, giving a lead in and helping your audience to understand how to you know create this idea of what you will be discussing, and to do so as quickly and as concise as possible and as clear as possible. I wrote another comment right here, the second comment. And if you click on this, it should highlight the sentence that I mean. But I want you to go through each sentence. And if you are stating something, to think about, what do I mean by this? And then write it. You can explain it. So you said that we should treat people as ends to a mean rather than means to an end. What does that mean? So maybe even taking the next sentence and saying, what I mean by this is this. That would help to lengthen your paper, as well as explain your ideas. So this is what Brother Ostad was talking about last Friday, and as well as what Jenny was talking about, thinking about your audience and expounding not necessarily on the summaries of the ideas, but on what your particular argument is. So since you are arguing that this is what Sartre is saying, or this is what Sartre is mentioning in his paper, what do you mean by this, or what does he mean by this? That we should treat people as an ends to a mean rather than a means to an end. And then you go on, and in each sentence to do this, think about that. Think about, would this make sense to the general public? And really try to put yourself in your audience's shoes, in Brother Ostad's shoes. And I will say that he does know a lot of this info, but um, he does actually appreciate you um, talking about or expounding on what you mean by this. Okay. So I really liked it. That will lengthen your intro. I thought you had a great thesis right here. One thing that I will mention also is transitions will lengthen your paper. Transitions in between each sentence and transitions in between each paragraph. And so if you did not receive that document, please send me an email and let me know if you did not receive that document. I will send it to you and I will try to explain the best that I can how to use that document. That this will be super effective for you in lengthening your paper, as well as causing a flow, creating this flow throughout the paper. So that is one thing I will mention. But I loved your thesis. I thought it was very clear and very well thought out. Excellent job. So you write a good topic sentence right here. It lacks a transition, like I mentioned, but you can do that. And if you need help with those transitions, just let me know. But right here, with each topic sentence that you write, ask yourself, what does this mean? What does ideal human being mean? Why would Sartre's definition be important? So when you're thinking about this, after each topic sentence, take a sentence or two or three to explain what you mean to your audience and perhaps defining specific words or phrases. This should and can be done in each paragraph, and that should also help to lengthen your paper. This is what Jenny was talking about, is the deepest why. So after each topic sentence, you should always explain what you mean by that. So Connor, the main character of the Unwind Dystology, represents what Sartre would call the ideal human being. What an ideal human being is a person that does this. According to Sartre, the ideal human being would be this. The Unwind Dystology is this. You know what I mean? Like explaining your ideas so that your audience is on the same page as you. And so what you want to do is always think, is my audience on the same page? But no matter what, always delve deeper and deeper and deeper into what you mean and what you're trying to argue. So you're arguing throughout the rest of this paragraph that Connor is what Sartre would call an ideal human being. What does that mean then? What does it mean to be an ideal human being? That way your audience knows what you're arguing. That way you know what you're arguing, and you can always tie it back in. If possible, shorten your summaries. I know that this will shorten your paper, but I will tell you, don't shorten them right now. We'll go ahead and wait on that until you get 10 pages, and then we can start shortening and making it more concise. I feel like there's a lot of summary, and there should be a lot of should I say, there should be citations within these summaries, even page numbers and examples, specific examples that are used throughout the book. Say on this page at this time, or within this book or this story at this given moment, and then you quote specific things that happen, but you can even summarize like you did, which is excellent, but then tell which book or where you got it from. That way the person knows exactly where they can find this themselves and search for this deeper meaning. That might also, another idea on how to lengthen is after each summary, after each example, after each quote that you use, always use that paragraph hamburger, or the quote hamburger, it's called, where the top bun is an introduction into your quote, the hamburger is the actual quote, and then the bottom bun is an explanation into that quote. So what does that mean? What does this summary mean? And not only what does the summary mean, why is it important to your topic sentence? Why is it important to your thesis statement? If you do this, it will lengthen your paper. It will cause your argument to be more effective. So remember transitions. Remember, delve into the deepest why, and this will help you extensively. These are just some examples that I can give you of specific writing principles that may help. And these are very long paragraphs. Not that it's a bad thing. I actually believe in long paragraphs. But even though you're arguing the same point, maybe splitting up the paragraphs and mentioning different specific points that Connor makes. And so, in other words, what I mean by this is like Connor, the main character, the unwind histology represents what Sartre would call the ideal human being within this example. And then you can say, once again, Connor does it within this example, once again within this example. And so you argue in separate paragraphs either the same thing, or you can also do separate ideas within that same realm. So you're talking about the ideal human being. What would make up an ideal human being? And then you can argue specific topics of what that ideal human being is. So splitting this up and saying, well, he signifies this idea of an ideal human being according to Sartre. So explaining what Sartre means, even after right here, you can say Sartre's idea of an ideal human being is this, and then you can have a paragraph arguing that, lengthening this paper. So in between starting the unwind histology, you can say this is what Sartre means by an ideal human being, and then you can mention Connor represents what Sartre would call an ideal human being in this aspect, and then argue that paragraph. And then you can split it up to the next paragraph. You can say Sartre or Connor also signifies this aspect of being an ideal human being, and then argue that. And I believe that that would also lengthen your paper and allow you to find this more material, and it will be more effective of a more effective argument. So always going back to that. So there's a lot that I've given you. So just remember to write this down: the paragraph hamburgers, the delving into the deepest why on the topic sentence, as well as linking your summaries, your examples, your quotes back to why that relates to your overall argument and your thesis statement. Also, transitions, and maybe changing around a little bit of the organization at the beginning. Hopefully this will be helpful to you. Please send me back another copy. I want to help more. I just need another copy. I've given you a lot of information near the beginning of the paper, and I expect you to go through the rest of the paper and make those changes that I've given you, and then I can give you additional information that would help to improve your paper even further, help to lengthen and refine your argument to a specific point. So this is, I do believe that you can break up your paragraphs into these specific parts of what an ideal human being is, what a non-ideal human being is, and according to Sartre, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This would be exceptionally effective. And I thought you had a great paper. Good job, Rachel. Send me another one.